One of the things that I always want to be sure of is that I can be mobile to the best of my ability. Recently, I have suffered a knee injury, and I'm grateful that I'm able to go to specialists, a guy who specializes especially in knees, to have my knee looked at, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing further damage and that I was not, that I was still able to be as mobile as I really wanted to be, because I have such an active lifestyle. So what I'm going to do is explain to you how to make sure that your knees stay strong and that they can withstand any kind of normal movement. I want to try and injury-proof your knees and give you some exercises that you're going to be able to do and to be able to extend the life of your knees and to have your knees as injury-free as possible. Knees are the biggest complaint that I have from my community, which of course is menopausal women, because when our hormones start to play games with us, one of the things that suffer the most is our joints. The only key to that, because I have osteoarthritis in both of my knees. Yes, I know you can't tell because I'm constantly moving. And what happens when you move your joints is that you have synovial fluid in most of them that also helps to nourish those joints. So the only answer to most things in life, as much as we hate to hear it, is movement. Like, I have never seen movement or exercise work against anyone unless they are moving incorrectly. So with all that being said, I want to show you some exercises and some stretches that if you do them often enough, which is maybe twice a week if you're concerned about your knees, you should be able to withstand a lot or be able to continue to keep an active life. And I continue to study things that are good for your knees to make sure that you can keep them healthy. So first, let's talk about the groups that are affected as far as exercising them or stretching them. That's going to help you. So we're going to talk about the quadriceps, which is going to be the front of our thighs, the hamstrings, the calves, the inside of the thighs, which we call those adductors because they add to the body, and then abductors because you need them to pull away from the body. The glutes, the butt, the large muscles in the butt, and maybe some medial glute action. Those are the muscles that we are going to be either stretching or providing some exercises with. So let me just show you some very simple stretches. Quad stretch, which is you taking the top of your foot. Whether you need some sort of balance, you can grab the top side of your foot or the ankle or the shoelace side of your foot, and your job is to try and bring the knees together and press your hips to forward. You're pressing your hips to the front, right? And you're just trying to pull up as far as you can. And in order to feel that a little bit deeper, maybe pull out just a little bit more if you kind of have the balance. As always, I encourage people to have some sort of tool to help you with balance, whether it's placing your hand on a wall or something that's going to help you maintain your balance, or a chair. I have all kinds of apparatus here, but that's a good way of starting with getting a stretch in there is always good. So of course you can do that on both sides. Good quadricep stretch. Another good stretch, if you want to do a quadricep stretch from the seated position, that's going to look like this. You can place the foot back behind you, so the shoelace side of your foot is down, and your job is to try and lean back. There's a side angle. Shoelace side of the foot is down. I'm grabbing onto whatever I can. This really depends on your flexibility in many different ways. You know, to be able to lean back, you can place one foot out in front of you, and your job is to try and almost like tuck the tailbone under and press to the front like this. You just slight bend in the knee here, and you're just trying to press to the front. That's going to help stretch out that calf. And of course the knee has to go over the toe to be able to feel that stretch. Just keep pressing to the front. And we're not actually leaning on that, but we're trying to lean as much as we can forward. And again, we're just pretending that there's a wall here in front of me. Feeling the stretch in the calf. Always good. Nice. And then, so that's stretching the quadriceps, and that's also stretching the calf. So we're going to go after the back of the thigh. You can also do these lying down. Hinge forward from the hip. Toe is flexed. That's That's also going to feel a stretch back in your calf muscle. If you have the flexibility, you can reach down for that toe, flexibility and balance for that matter, and you can pull back on it. Everything is depending on you and your flexibility. But here's another way you can do that. One of the other stretches that you can do, important stretches, is going to be the inside of the thigh. So you can separate your feet here about hip width apart, or I'm sorry, wider than hip width apart, and you can bend, 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 getting back, bending as far as you can. Of course, this requires bending the knees for that inner thigh stretch. You can also do this from the seated position. My butt's onto the bench, and I'm bending in this direction. So my feet are parallel to each other. No, they're not evenly spaced, like they're wide apart and they're not in the same plane, like one's further in front than this one, but they're parallel to each other, right? So, but you're trying to feel that stretch on the inside of the thigh, and I'm bending deeply as much as I can to feel that stretch. And again, the width, the depth that you can go on that is entirely up to you and your body. But for you, you might just be able to do this and be like, I'm good. And then so that's where you stay. You don't try to push it further than that. I want you to feel it. I don't want you to overstretch or overdo any of that stuff, right? You can also stretch the insides of the thighs by sitting on the floor if getting up and down off the floor is not challenging for you. I want you to make sure that your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. If you have a tendency for your toes to drop to the front, I want you to literally focus on, your only job is to try and make sure that the toes are up towards the ceiling and that you can lift all the way up through the crown of your head. And that is probably enough stretch for most people. It is okay if you need to sort of bend the knees here, and that's also a good stretch because we're still feeling that right there on the insides of your thighs, okay? And of course, your job is still to engage the core and sitting up as tall as you can, lifting all the way up through the crown of your head. I also like to indicate that you can pull the belly button in nice and tight. That's also a good reminder to sort of lift, zip everything up the front and give yourself a really nice posture. So again, don't worry about trying to go deep, just worry about trying to feel the stretch on the insides of your thighs, okay? Your pelvic bowl is, you're trying to rotate it towards the front. Because what we don't want is this. If you're like this, most people, they sort of round out like that. We don't want that. We want you to sit up nice and tall and just focus on that. Even if you can't move anywhere else, even if you have to bend your knees. But it's really good to make sure that your inner thighs, and if you notice that I'm not rounding out my spine here, I'm not sitting back onto my tailbone, I'm lifting up and positioning myself that way, even if it means I have to bend my knees. Also, hamstrings, good idea. Hamstring, forward bends, just a couple of different ways for the hamstring. You don't even need to touch your toes with that. Just again, bending forward here, hinge forward. We're not rounding out. I don't want you doing that. I want you sitting up nice and tall and leading with that chin, extending all the way up through the top of the head. Reaching forward if you can. You don't have to be able to reach the toe. You can reach for the bottom of, let me switch legs so you can see better. You can reach for the bottom of the pant leg, whatever you have going there. That's fantastic. If you're actually more flexible and you want to feel that, and you can reach the toe, you can reach beyond the toe, or you can also flex the foot, put a flex in the foot. You can also do this on the ground, a couple of different ways. I'm going to add some apparatus here because you can use a towel. I have a strap here, but you can also use a towel. You can do this from the upright position, bring this around the ball of the foot, and again, sit up tall. And if you have even more than that, you can sort of flex the foot. You can also lay back, and same thing. If you can't lift it up that high, you can also just lift it to whatever degree you can lift it up and just kind of hold it there. Let me lay my head down. Just kind of hold it there. And I always like to say, give it 2 long, deep breaths. and the stretch. You can also do these very same stretches from a bench or a chair, flexing the foot here. For the outside of the thigh, you can drop it across the body here, and right away you're going to feel that glute stretching. You can also do the glute stretch with a bent knee, and the leg does not have to touch the ground in order for you to feel that stretch. And then your job, mid to lower back stretch too, that's not your imagination, but you'll feel the stretch better with an extended leg here. Long stretch, right? And just play around with it. You see I'm trying to move here because I know what muscle I want to be able to target. So I'm going to keep moving until I feel it there, where I'm trying to target in the target area. So don't be afraid to sort of play with different movements and different angles to see how you can really target those muscles, because you know about your body. You know how to maneuver yourself around and make sure that you're feeling it in appropriate places. Another way you can also target your glutes is to bend the knee up first, and then you can lift and cross it above the knee joint. Don't ever place it directly onto the knee joint. And you can also bend the base leg up. And again, this is one of those things where you want to make sure that you are extending all the way up to the top of your head and you're not doing this. So posture does make a huge difference in how your body receives that stretch, right? Then you can also lower it down. This is my injured knee at the moment, so I don't really like to do that right now. But just any sort of, any degree or angle that helps you feel that. Don't be afraid to maneuver around to see how it feels, because we're trying to target this right here. So don't be afraid to maneuver that around to see if you can feel that differently, to make sure you're reaching those target areas. Yes, we're professionals, we know what we're doing, we study this stuff, but you're also a professional of your own body, and you know how things should feel, right? You know how to target those muscles, and that's all I want you to be able to do is target those muscles so that you can feel that stretch in those target areas, right? So we've stretched out our quads, our hamstrings, our gluteals, our calves. Hey there, so if you made it this far in the video, please give me a like or a share or a follow, as that helps my channel. Okay, so some real simple exercises to target all those muscles that we've just stretched out. So you can do a squat. I like to give like a point of reference where you can tap your butt down. And you can give me an even higher bench than this. You know what I mean? You can stack it a little bit higher, or you can use a chair. If you don't have the capability of moving through your knees into a squat, you can also press into your feet or lean to the front and press your feet firmly into the ground just to activate those quads there if you can't do a full squat. Another way of stopping that mobility of going up and down is you can push your back up against a wall and walk your feet out. And think about just trying to go down as deep as you can in a position where you can hold it. You could say time yourself for like 30 seconds, 1 minute to 5 seconds, for as long as you can. Just holding this posture from the wall and just using the wall as much as you can to hold yourself in this position to really activate those quads. So that's a very simple exercise that you can do. If you have a little bit more mobility than that, then you can go into a lunge. Your job here is only to bend both of your knees, getting down as deep as you can. If you can touch the knee all the way to the ground, good for you. Calf raises. You can go into calf raises. You can do one at a time. Both legs at a time. Or you can also do, I like to place my toe on the back of my heel and lift and lower. Just really simple stuff that you don't want to put too much thought into. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just trying to keep your knees safe and functional, and for you to be able to continue to live an active life. Another way to activate the quads from a seated position is for you to extend the leg out, just the weight of the leg, nothing special. If you want to add an ankle weight there, you can, but your legs actually weigh enough for you to be able to feel that. You don't have to do anything special with your hands. but you're just lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Another exercise you can do to target the quads is for you to lay back onto your back, and you can think about extending the leg up and lowering it down, extend it up and lower it down. You don't necessarily have to lift that high, just lifting up just enough to engage the quad, and exhale, lowering it down. So any sort of band will do, including the ones with the handle. We're putting this on the arch of our foot, and to target the quadriceps and the hamstrings, you're gonna bend the knee and press. I'm holding it nice and tight, and I'm making sure that I have resistance, because the band provides resistance in both directions. So I'm making sure that I'm providing resistance and it's not slacking when I withdraw, when I pull back and press up. Okay, so that's gonna target the quads and the hamstrings at the same time. All right, another exercise you can do from the floor, we're gonna focus on the back side of our body now, is here, coming onto the belly, and you're gonna lift up and lower, lift. We're lifting from the hip, lift up from the hip and lower down, lift from the hip and lower, lift and lower from that hip. Okay, so you're squeezing nice and tight. You can place your hand on the butt, feel everything squeeze nice and tight, and lower it down. And that's going to target your gluteal muscles. Then, Jane Fonda stuff, you can press the heel up towards the ceiling. This is going to target the inner thigh. You can lift up and lower it down. Just very simply, doesn't have to be complicated at all. You can also do this from a seated position. Again, we're just trying to feel this inner thigh working. You can also bring it out, change the angle on it, why not? And then try to pull heel leading up towards the ceiling, lifting up, engage, engage, and lower down, lift and lower down. Right, just really, really simple stuff. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Outer thighs. Here, you can lift up just like that. That's going to engage the butt, lifting up. Another alternative, and again, change the angle, bring it out to the front, maybe. Bring it out to the front, maybe point the toe down. See if you can target that butt as best as you can. Feel it working there. Lift and lower. Right, look at that. You can even draw circles. You can tap it out and bring it back. And that hits the butt in a whole new way. You can come up with your own as long as you're targeting those specific muscle groups to be able to keep you active without any sort of threat to injury, and trying to keep it safe and keep it mobile and active at the same time. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I really do appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video.